Hello and welcome to MFAT Coaching. I am Megan. Today I'm bringing you a video that is all about list and list making. A little bit of background about this video is that I was thinking about my planning and how I plan, and I realized that what I do is I essentially create places where I can write down fancy lists. That is kind of my planning. I do not do the hourly planning that some people do or time blocking, but I will talk about how to time block a little bit in this video. So I encourage you, if you have interest in planning, if you have interest in how to create different types of lists, if you ever feel overwhelmed by list making and planning, I encourage you to stick around, watch this video, and I'll walk you through 5 different ways to think about making lists.
All right, let's get into it. The first type of list that I want to talk about is a categorization list. You can categorize lists in many different ways. So lots of people will have like their top priority and then like the second list of things that they like want to get done, but if they don't get done, it's not a big deal. I'm showing you here some categorized lists that I have because for my podcast, it's the Apartment 29A podcast. We try a T every podcast, and let's just point out that it is possible that my co-host and I have a few too many T's. I mean, we would say there's no such thing as too many T's, that we don't have a problem, that we have a podcast, but all the same, this is how I have chosen to categorize my teas is we have, or to list them out, is by category. So the categories we have like chai teas, iced teas, we are getting tea from Tea of the Month. Thanks, Mom. English tea shop teas. This is a set that came. Fordham and Mason teas. We have a lot of the Republic of Tea. It's a company that I really enjoy. We have some bookish themed teas, some other teas that didn't fit any of the categories, Earl Grey teas, Withered teas, and then teas that might be various companies, but they all have fruit in them in one way, shape, or form. And so this is one way that I categorize my list. So I had a list. In this case, I had one item and a lot of that one item. And I needed to figure out a way to categorize and list them in a way that I could then quickly reference the list to figure out what type of tea I might be interested in drinking that day. And then when it's done, I put a little check mark in the box. And then as I add more, I can add another list anywhere. And this is a created by a Zurich, is that what they're called? Dot marker? Let me show you. It is a Zig Clean dot marker. And then there's the big end, which is how I make those. And then there's a small end, which is how I wrote those. Really enjoying these dot markers. So if you are trying to make lists and you like to have dots, that's something you could do, and then you can write in them when you're done. So that's the first way that you can make a list that I have found very helpful. The second type of list that I am partial to is a brain dump. I do a brain dump every week. And I do them usually by, again, category. So I have this planner, which is a classic happy planner. I also have a mini happy planner. Show you a kind of traditional spread in there. And then I have 3 other planners. So it's not about how many planners though. In these, I use them as brain dumps. So I just write down everything that I know that I need to do or be working on that week in a particular part of my life. So this is where I put everything I need to do for my job. It's a lot. I manage a lot of things. I also teach, so I tend to do these things together because one idea may help me lead to another idea. Now, some people don't want, like when they do a brain dump, they just want to get everything in their head on one piece of paper, and that is great too. I just find it easy to categorize even my brain dump, but that's totally up to you. So in this case, like you'll see, this is a list on Monday, a list on Tuesday, but I do not care if I get these particular items done on the days listed. I just know that they're things that I need to get done. And I do that, I get it all out, and then I'll show you my third type of list. So once I've written down all of the things that I need to do for work, for teaching, for my life in general, if there are those things, then I do my third type of list, which is to actually schedule items for a specific day. Other people also do time blocking. So you can see I do a little bit of both on here. Time blocking is usually when people have a planner that starts at usually 7 or 8 a.m. and goes all the way to usually 7 or 8 p.m. Some of them will go later, some of them will go shorter. I would want the entire day from like probably 5 or 6 a.m. through 10 p.m. and that's really hard to find. And then you literally write down everything you're going to do at the time of day that you anticipate that you will do it. And lots of people find that helpful. I, however, do not. So if you find that time blocking gives you anxiety, or in my case, it kicks up my rebel, maybe this will help you. So this is a kind of combination of scheduling those items for the day and then time blocking. So you see, maybe you don't see, I'll try and zoom in here. But I've got my to-do list and a schedule section. So once I have my brain dump, I then look at the different days of the week and I start to say what day I think I can get each of those items or projects done. And then I start crossing things off. And you're gonna see that on most weeks, like if I went through this, you'll notice a pattern where I'm really good at marking things off like kind of earlier on in the week and less good at the end of the week. So here I didn't even write down what to do on Friday because lots of times Friday is like my catch-all. So whatever you didn't get done the rest of the week, let's try and smack that on Friday. And if I don't get it done on a specific day, so like the invoices are done, I didn't get it done on Monday, and I know because I circled it so that by the time I got to Tuesday, I knew I needed to do that and would continue on. So that's why you see a bunch of circles. Usually, and again, you're going to see more circles towards the beginning of the week, and then you'll tend to see them checked off later on in the week. It wasn't very good this week at checking things off. I got a lot of this done. Some things had to move, and that's okay, but that makes me feel better. Here's my schedule. I have the schedule section because there are sometimes meetings and things that require that I be in a specific place at a specific time. And if that's the case, I want to know that. And then I want to do my to-do list around that. If I tell myself that I'm going to do email first thing in the morning, there is something about that where if I like time block it in, I will decide that I don't want to do email first thing in the morning. Today I'm feeling more social and I want to make my phone calls first thing in the morning. And that's okay, but then the whole time blocking thing is all up in the air and off, and it just doesn't work for me. But it might work for you. Lots of people find time blocking really helpful. But for me, I find it better to write down my schedule. Where are the things where I have to be at a specific place at a specific time? Then what are my to-do items for the day? And then I can do those to-do items in the times where I don't have meetings and don't have specific things that I have to do. So that's my third tip for making lists, is this kind of schedule items for specific days, maybe specific times. I do, however, have one section where, like, here is my kind of brain dump for the things that I have to do that are like home related, not work related. And then these are actually my evenings. So what am I doing each evening? And these are not usually specific things, but more of projects or focuses. So you'll see MFAT coaching, or I had a book club. Those things tend to happen in the evenings, and that's what I'm doing in those evenings. So here's my fourth tip for list making, and that is, some people really find it helpful to separate their lists into reoccurring and projects. So you can notice I obviously do really love some project planning, in the sense that I have different planners for different aspects of my life. So this happens to be the podcast planner. So that is a major project in my life that I absolutely adore and love. And you can see I make spreads for it each week. There are different things that we do every day in Instagram, or for the channel in general, for the podcast, that is. And then we record, and I write down what we recorded, what we talked about in those recordings each week. We didn't record this week. As you can see, I write everything down, and this is everything in here is about the project. And then my months look like, when are we going to record? And I always do that in terms of sticky notes, because recordings can easily change depending on illness in life and everything like that. My multiple planners are mainly about projects. This is how I do recurring items. I like to do habit trackers. As you can see, I kind of took some time off from habit trackers. If you want to know more about that, you can see some of my previous videos. But here are things that I try and do daily. So taking out and moving the compost around, listening to music, actually looking at my personal email, doing my journaling, checking our finances, drinking water, and I have an evening routine, washing my face, brushing my teeth, all of those things that I like to make sure I do. And then I like to fill in this beautiful design and see that I did it. That's how I do recurring. I follow Planning with Bumble, and she does a great job on her spreads of writing down recurring, or using stickers for recurring events, trash, watching TV, those types of things. I also do enjoy using the calendar in the Silk and Sonder to write down some of the key things that are happening in my life or in the month. So recurring in terms of pretty much annual things. But I am not very good at creating a spread where, like, I put, okay, trash is every other, or paying bills is every other. What I really enjoy for recurring tasks is actually the use of my phone and lists on my phone. And that is one thing. It's much harder for me to show you because I use my phone to record these videos. But I do also do some digital planning, and particularly love digital lists. Apple has a good one so that I can share the list with my husband, who also has an Apple phone, and then we can have a grocery list and we can mark off when we've gotten the items and what items we need. I really like digital for that because one of the things you may notice is I do not like writing things down multiple times every week. That doesn't mean I don't do it in the way that I plan. Obviously, I write down things twice, in the sense that I do the brain dump and then I put it on the specific day of the week. But because I do that just once a week, that doesn't feel like I don't schedule, you're never going to see in my schedule to do the schedule, you're not going to see planning time. you will see MFAT coaching throughout my planner. Oh, not that week. That was the final week of class, so lots of grading, but you'll see MFAC, and you'll see podcast. So when it says MFAC, I am doing some planning at that time, but it's just this strange, like, because it is so recurring for me, I do it on Mondays in the mornings. I don't feel the need to schedule that. Same thing with trash. I just have my phone remind me, hey, it's trash day. So that's another way to do particularly recurring if you need those reminders. I love my phone and lists on my phone to help remind me of something that is so recurring that you might be able to forget when it is. So we do the recyclings every other week. Trash, of course, is every week. So it's really helpful for me to have that reminder. Same thing, like I water some of my plants every Sunday and others every other Sunday. And it's really good to have that, my phone say, hey, this is the Sunday that you need to water all of the plants. Last but not least, when it comes to list making, I want to remind you that no matter how many lists you make, how beautiful and brilliant and fantastic your system is, you have to expect changes to occur. So going back to this, like you can see, like I just didn't get through as much. Now some of this is I didn't mark it all off. So let's take a little time here. Like I actually, oh, nope. But I did this one. I did the I bought my Alaska flight. I started on some of these, but they're not done. I can, like it's not done, but I started some email cleanup. False year-ends I can't do until later. End of month docs I started. May grad follow-up I completed. This email is going out. I still need to do the out of the office for Monday. So you can just see like this was the plan. I didn't get everything done, and that's okay. You can also hopefully see I had something on the schedule. It didn't happen, so I just went ahead and used some whiteout to indicate that that is not going to happen. And yeah, those changes are going to occur, and even changes in the overall recurring schedule. So if you saw my video from last week, you saw this planner. It's my MFAC coaching planner. And you saw this beautiful spread. I think it's beautiful, at least. It's actually last week's spread. But you also saw spreads that look like this, and this, and this, and this, and they're just nothing. You also saw some, full spreads. And each week is just a little different. Like here's a spread that I made and I never got to use it. And that is just a part of life. And while it seems silly to say expect the unexpected, because in some ways you can't, but in other ways you can kind of like look back and say, okay, things did not go as I had planned in the past, and I'm still okay. And that is probably going to continue. So even if my perfect plan doesn't go as planned, I'm okay. I'm still a good person. I've still done my best. I can learn from the mistakes that I made. And maybe even we say mistakes, but just because your plan changes doesn't mean you made a mistake. Maybe you just got a new opportunity where you're able to follow it. But if a mistake was made, you can look at it, you can analyze it, and you can say, okay, here's some new ways for me to address the situation, a situation in the future that looks like this one. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, I encourage you to give this video a thumbs up, and of course subscribe if you're interested. Thank you so much. And of course, I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye.